Over the past 50 years, Canada has established a reputation for accepting immigrants and embracing diversity. About 1/4 of Canadians are foreign-born, which is the highest proportion in more than 150 years and among the highest ratios among industrialized Western countries. Although some Canadians have expressed worry about the mounting burden on housing and social services, immigrants have assisted the nation in addressing its aging population and fostering economic growth. However, could Canada be reaching a point where it can no longer receive any more immigrants? Before we go further, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment so No Cap Capitalists can continue producing similar content and insights. Thanks. Now on with the video. After Donald Trump's policies dramatically restricted entry to the United States, Canada has become even more appealing as a destination for immigrants. But there is also a labor shortage in Canada, which is made worse by a lack of skilled labor. Other issues with its immigration system include an increase in asylum requests, an upsurge in deportation, and the exploitation of workers with temporary visas by employers. Immigration has had a profound impact on Canadian society and culture, much as it did in the United States. Canada used immigration to help in the development of large land masses. Immigration during that time was encouraged by government-sponsored campaigns and hiring managers to settle in rural, frontier areas. The second half of the 20th century saw a major downturn in Canada's population growth, which has since remained historically low. In the meantime, throughout the same period, life expectancy has significantly increased. As a result, the proportion of working-age adults in Canada is decreasing, while the proportion of seniors has been increasing. The number of people in Canada who are 65 years of age and older is predicted to increase by 68% over the following 20 years. Its size has increased by more than threefold in the last 40 years. The number of seniors increased from roughly 2 million to 3.5 million between 1977 and 1997. It currently stands at roughly 6.2 million as of 2017. It is anticipated to reach a population of 10.4 million in 2037, 20 years from now. For the first time ever, the Government of Canada reported that its population increased by over 1 million people in 2017. According to Statistics Canada, the nation's population soared from 38.5 to 39.6 million people. Additionally, this represented Canada's greatest annual population growth level since 1957. According to Statistics Canada, the government's initiatives to attract immigrants to the nation to address a labor shortfall contributed to the surge. To support an aging population, the nation also depends on immigration. However, Statistics Canada warned that the increase in immigration, both long-term and short-term, could pose new problems for some areas of the nation in terms of housing, infrastructure, and transportation, as well as the provision of services to the population. According to the press release, international migration was responsible for about 96% of the population rise. Since taking office in 2015, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has worked to increase immigration to the nation. Last year, the administration announced a proposal to accept 500,000 immigrants annually by 2025. Additionally, the Canadian government has been welcoming refugees from war zones, including the conflict in Ukraine, the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan, and the earthquakes that occurred in Turkey and Syria in 2023. The government recently revealed a further extension of an initiative that promises to temporarily resettle Ukrainians and their families until July 2023. Of the approximately 1 million applications that have been received, more than 600,000 have been granted entry so far, and more than 130,000 people have entered Canada as a result of the campaign. The conversation about immigration is generally more positive in settler nations than it is in Western countries, particularly in Canada. Meanwhile, OECD members, a group made up primarily of wealthy nations, were awarded a fraction of the residence permits in the early half of 2020 as they did in the same period in 2019. This is a huge fall from the previous record. The Canadian government announced that it aimed to welcome 1.2 million new citizens between 2021 and 2023, or 3% of the current population. Total targets for this year and next year are 100,000 more than anticipated. A news statement from the government stated that 2022 was a record-breaking year for the evaluation of immigration applications because the nation welcomed 437,000 immigrants while also adding 607,782 non-permanent residents. According to Statistics Canada, Canada's population growth places it first among the 38 Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development members for population growth in 2022, making it the fastest-growing nation. So it is very likely that Canada's population would double in 26 years if it kept growing at the annual rate of 2.7%. By the way, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Today, Canada's economic revival and long-term prosperity both depend heavily on immigration. Without it, the country will deteriorate. The ratio of employees to retirees will drop from 3 to 2 in 15 years. Not only has the epidemic increased Canada's enthusiasm for bringing in foreign talent, additionally, it is redefining what talent means to the government. On April 14th, Mr. Mendicino declared that 90,000 individuals with temporary visas would have access to avenues to permanent residency in Canada. The majority are employed in essential occupations, such as bricklayers and healthcare employees. The rest are alumni from Canadian universities. The economy depends heavily on migratory residents. Compared to the permanent type, Canada accepts more of them. According to Syed Hussain of the lobbying organization Migrant Workers Alliance for Change, the country has 1.6 million non-permanent residents. 2018 saw 700,000 international students spend $22.3 billion, or 1% of the country's GDP. Other migrant workers tend to nurse homes, harvest crops, and carry out more educated jobs. Many workers are subject to abuse because their permits require them to work only for a specific business. In 2020, 2,000 farm workers contracted COVID-19 in Ontario and were quarantined on their own farms. Even students experience pain. Some delivery workers earn meager wages and spend all of their energy vying to be designated managers, a position that increases their chances of being granted permanent citizenship. Foreigners without documentation, many of whom have overstayed their visas to remain in Canada, are in the worst situation. It is believed that their numbers are increasing. Most people are not entitled to free health or education services. As a result, Canada has laid strict immigration policies. Economic migrants receive the majority of offers based on their placement in a point system that awards points for education, language proficiency in either English or French, their occupation, and employment offers in Canada. The population that was born abroad has the highest level of education in the OECD. Canada also intends to accept around 312,000 relatives of recent immigrants or citizens currently living there as permanent residents between 2021 and 2023, in addition to 181,000 refugees. Canada changed the point system to allow more people that employers want to recruit after hearing stories about doctors who drove taxis. But many experts believe that it still places an undue emphasis on qualifications. The pandemic also made Canadians aware of the value of workers with less education. Moreover, the government had started to give temporary migrants more opportunities to establish themselves before the outbreak. Since 2008, if a worker has worked in the nation and speaks one of its languages, they can apply for permanent residency. Additionally, under trial programs, it grants 2,750 agricultural laborers and 5,500 caregivers annual resident permits. But the government is getting more adaptable right now. It encouraged 27,000 citizens to seek permanent residency through its express entry program for economic migrants. It reduced the required number of points from an average of 461 to 75, the smallest ever recorded. By the beginning of next year, the migratory flow should be back to normal. However, the trend toward a fast, innovative, and inclusive pathway to permanent residence might persist. As a result, some proponents of immigration want the government to take drastic action. In the long run, if this trend continues, immigrants may end up representing about 30% of Canada's population in the coming years. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like and subscribe buttons. Most importantly, don't forget to click the bell icon to be notified when a new video is uploaded. Also, feel free to leave a remark if you have any recommendations for videos. From No Cap Capitalist, have a great day, everyone, and thanks once again.